welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the HCast episode number 41. We are here to talk all things pop culture, movie news, and sometimes some slightly off-topic bits and pieces, which we do here on my weekly podcast, twice weekly podcast. So, hope you're all well. Hope you're having a great day, afternoon, evening, good morning, good night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Howdy. So we are here to talk quite a lot of stuff, actually. I mean, The Flash, horrendous second week drop, the fact that it all leaked on Twitter, Kevin Smith being bitch slapped by the Batman franchise producer, Kathleen Kennedy, Dawn of Ray movie. I mean, you name it, we've got quite a lot of topics. And also, it looks like now the rumors are rumblings around who's going to be confirmed to be the new Superman. By the looks of it as well. So I am joined here by my Hawaiian shirt wearing amigo Culture Casino. How are you doing, good sir?
Fantastic. It's been a wonderful day so far. I believe it will continue. I'm joyful. I'm exuberant. I'm ecstatic. I'm excited. Lots of other adjectives.
Well, all the adjectives.
All of them.
And we've got Tom Connors as well. How you doing, buddy?
Doing the best I can, dealing with a bung toe, but I'm doing all right.
Oh, a bung toe. Oh.
Well, I have to get it. I got to get surgery Thursday.
Oh, sorry to hear that, dude. That's not good.
Yeah, it's like hopefully it's nothing too serious. So.
Yeah, hopefully not. So for everyone who's sort of joining and doesn't know, who's joining me here, this is Culture Casino and Tom Connors. So Culture Casino is of Culture Casino. You can find his channel linked in the description box. And Tom Connors is, of course, from Midnight's Edge, but also Midnight's Edge After Dark, which you can find linked down below in the description box. Please do hit subscribe on their channels. Would be mucho gracias, ladies and gents. If you want to join the show, get your thoughts heard, and it can literally be anything. I mean, we talked about the submarine last week, so we'll talk about anything here on this podcast, basically. So drop in a super chat. It supports the show, and it's a really good way just to get your thoughts heard. At the end of each topic, we sort of drop in with those very specific ones, cover them for a while. And some of them, I mean, a lot of them recently have become their own videos on the second channel, which is Mistake Reviews Live Archive. So, some of these questions are so good, they become their own segments as clips on the second channel. So yeah, super chats are the way to do that. So we have, ladies and gents, a member milestone already, which is from Horseradish Power. So if you want to become a supporter of the channel, get essentially a free monthly super chat, you can do that as well. But Horseradish Power has been a member for 27 months at supporter level 1 and says all writers striking over ChatGPT replacing them forget that Hollywood using it to replace them should worry about the public using it for stories. Where's the other part of that one? I'll go back up. Oh my God. Where is it, Olaf? Where is it? There was another part. There you go. Forget Hollywood using it to replace them should worry about the public using it for stories. Oh, was that it? Oh, okay. Sorry, that does make sense now. I've read it. Yeah. So you did run it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that is true, to be fair. That is true. I mean, you could say that Hollywood's using it to replace them, but then the other part of it is, well, I mean, the public can just use it to muscle in on the business as well. I mean, it's a wide-ranging thing there, isn't it?
I've experimented with this on live streams before with an audience, and I created a wonderful story about Big Mike in a sci-fi adventure. Big Mike is the
Not villain. Sure I want to know about Big Mike. All right.
All right. Fair enough.
We've got a super chat already from Accident Seller for 50 Norwegian kroner. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So it's Mr. H, Jasper, and me agreed that we should start replacing the D in Disney with P. Pissney.
That works.
I would agree. We also have a brand new member, Justin B. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you very, very, very much. So let's get on to our first topic. All right. So look, The Flash.
Yes.
What a monumental failure. So obviously, well, I mean, it is, isn't it? Like, it just is. We, first week when it dropped, and It took not that much money. Obviously, everyone does not everyone, but a lot of people do box office roundups. Some people are like, oh, it's not too bad. Some people are like, it's awful. And those that said it was awful were bang on the money. Bang on the money, because this is not good at all. It had a 73% drop week on, week out. I mean, that's just god awful. That's worse than Black Adam. And that movie went on to do nothing. It's worse than Green Lantern. It's awful. Now, it has crossed $200 million worldwide in a week and a half, because it was out on a Wednesday. And now, currently, it drops another 73% from the last Monday. So it will struggle to hit $300 million worldwide. So it only took in 1.66 million on Monday. Now, this is just a monumental failure. Monumental failure. And we also had a VFX artist coming out basically saying, well, literally saying, if some of the VFX looked like they were done in a week, it's because they were. So what do we think about this, guys? I mean, this is one of those things. I mean, this movie will lose Warner Brothers somewhere in the region of $300 to $350 million guaranteed now. This is a monumental failure of epic proportions, multiversal proportions, you might say.
Spaghetti. It's spaghetti verse.
So what do we think?
The spaghetti verse has been a failure since the word go, for at least for DC, and it's probably beneficial to them that they are now in a position where they have to let it go completely, since they're headed into a new era with Gunn. But I looked at the numbers and performance, and I'm thinking, okay, so Flash cost more than twice as much to make as Shazam: Fury of the Gods. Shazam: Fury of the Gods was a colossal failure, a likes of which I haven't seen ever in movie history. It only made $132 million global in its run. It basically hit its apex and stopped. It was flat. Yeah. Dead as a mesa. I mean, it was, flat as Brie Larson, but performance wise. Right,
there we go.
Or her ass anyway. But no, the point being,
I'll give you that.
But the point being is that Flash is going to do the same thing. It's already started to. At 1.33 million. That's not good. 73% fall off. I mean, very few films perform that poorly. And it what it does is it shows me there's only going to be initial interest in these films, and that's it. Especially since you're going to have a large portion of the audience waiting to hear from, the brilliant minds of Mr. H or perhaps Mr. Tom Connors and other places, who are going to give you their opinion of the film before you see it, which will save you some money and a lot of time. And I don't see anything positive on the horizon for Warner Brothers, specifically about DC. But I think you're looking at a Blue Beetle film that is going to.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Well, I mean, the Flash has unequivocally bombed. What's next, I guess, when it comes to Warner Brothers. I mean, the Flash is such a huge failure, though. It's like worryingly bad. It's staggeringly big. But I wonder if there's anything that they could have done to actually prevent it being as terrible as it was in terms of its response. Do you think this is a movie? I personally think this is a movie that was always, regardless of what's happened to Ezra Miller, in the public domain, regardless of what's happened with them rebooting DC, I don't think this movie was ever going to do well. No one knows who the Flash is outside of, comic book fans, generally speaking. No one cares no one knows who Ezra Miller is. This is a niche movie within a niche section. Like, it was always going to bomb, I think, personally. I think they did. You got to remember, right? They did everything possible to get it out to normies. They ran an over 2-minute long Super Bowl trailer. It was poised, ready to hit the ground running with the normies, and they still couldn't do it. So I just think it was always destined to fail. Tom, you want to chime in there, buddy?
Yeah, as far as Flash goes, it's just this whole thing was built on, a house or a foundation of a house that was shoddy at best. We were talking about this the other day, how, you know, Snyder is really one of the main pillars of this whole problem to begin with. And now I know he had very little to do with this movie at the end of the day, but it really is kind of the culmination of all that crap.
Do you
I'm not
think? Because
putting,
I still, well, I honestly just think it's the powers that be that greenlit this film. It should never have been greenlit. I wouldn't necessarily put that on Zack Snyder. I just
well,
think
I'm
this
just
was
gonna,
really
my point was,
dumb.
I was getting to is, yeah, like, here's the thing. And I'm not saying that the studio or anybody else is innocent in this case. They made the decisions to change gears as much as possible. But at the end of the day, the reason nobody went to see this
Mm,
movie is because nobody cared after Batman v Superman. That was it. Nobody has really cared. That, Wonder Woman and Aquaman were kind of flukes in that, Aquaman had a very sexy leading man that a lot of women like, so a lot of them went to see it. And as far as
mm.
Wonder Woman goes, she was long overdue for a movie. We should have got a Wonder
Yeah,
Woman movie way back somewhere in the 90s or
I
80s at
agree.
least. I mean, that's
Yeah, I
another part
agree.
of it. We spent 10 years on this franchise, 10 years. And I've seen a lot of people go, well, it's this, that, it's the other. You could, no. At this point, it's unsalvageable. The Flash was something that's been in production basically since 2014.
So long.
This movie was going to happen one way or another. The studio was kind of obligated to release it anyway, and that's what I've been trying to tell people. And I know Script Doctor and I talked about this again just recently, and I agree with a lot of his takes on it as well. As it kind of matches up with things that I'd heard, and I agree with his. You got all these other licensing deals that weren't in place for things like Batgirl, so like that's how that was easy to just write it off. There wasn't back end deals.
Mm.
There wasn't, foreign sales and other things that were already in place like there was for the Flash. We got to remember the Flash was originally meant to come out in like 2016, like or 18 or whatever it was. Like this movie has been
Staggering.
set to go out. It has been shot and shot and reshot and shot and reshot and shot, and it's like at the end of the day, this movie is just kind of both an example of what's wrong with DC and a glaring example of what's wrong with Hollywood in general. Because as much as we're focusing on the Flash, like you have in your title here,
Mm.
and I've said it time and time again, every single one of these blockbuster films this year has underperformed or flat out bombed, except for two. And the only
Mm.
two that you can point to are Mario Brothers and Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And Guardians of the Galaxy 3 barely made its
Yeah.
way into the black, right? Like, I mean, and Spider-Verse has been a bit, it's overperformed as far as expectations as well. So I guess you could put a third one in there, right?
Yeah.
But at
Yeah.
this point, it'd be just to give it credit for bumping up to number one spot again this weekend. But to me, it's almost like, yeah, it's cool to celebrate that. But we had a weekend where culture, you pointed out, this is one of the worst weekends we've probably had. You'd have to go back a while with
70,
inflation.
74.
Wow. Before
Wow.
Jaws, before the summer blockbuster. There you go. Have we officially reached the end of that? I mean, is that where we're at here?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't
Oh dear.
I don't know how we got where we are, but it's been a very, very long time. Adjusted for inflation, you have to go back to 1974 to have a
That's
weekend.
incredible.
And when you look at it overall, when you pay attention to what these are, at least as far as the domestic box office is concerned,
Mm.
you're looking at two consecutive weekends in a row where you're looking at record low box offices, and that's bad. That's bad sign. I mean, we're headed into Indiana Jones and the Diaper of Depends real soon, and that's gonna seriously underperform. I can't believe I've seen, and correct me if I'm wrong. Am I seeing this $60 million number correctly? That it could be on the low end for Indy's domestic open here.
I can believe that. I can believe that.
That's what they've been saying for the last 2 weeks, culture.
Yeah. Well,
and it hasn't moved.
Yeah. I mean, bringing it back around to the Flash, I think what's interesting about this is if they had released it on Max, HBO Max, because I mean they're doing low estimates here of $150 million for marketing, right? Low estimate. That's a very low estimate, I think, personally. Yeah, that's $150 million for marketing. I think they would have made more than that. They would have done more than that in marketing. I mean, the Super Bowl ad, we already know that they've been smashing out the marketing. But basically, the point is, if they'd released it on HBO Max, it would have lost less money.
Well, and again, I think Tom was pointing out that we know for sure that the production cycle started way back in 2014. But somebody I know told me they'd already put it into development, trying to get something put together, pull together writers, directors, and all that, all the way stretching back to 2012 for a Flash movie. Whether it's
they've been actually 2009. You can go all the way back to and try and find the first time they started talking about Flash culture. To be honest with you,
yeah. And then when you look at that, and when they finally pulled it together in 2014, that's when they pulled in Lord and Miller.
I think 12 is when they flipped over to doing a Flashpoint story, because I believe that's closer to the time when that comic had come out.
Yeah.
But regardless, this is something that's just been.
I mean, it
was doomed from the start, and even Michael Keaton couldn't save it.
Yeah, I think, and the first time you saw it reported in the trades or in the press was early 2015. I want to say February or March.
2014, it was announced for this iteration. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just bonkers. How long it's been, and here we are with the finished product being the most disappointing thing that you could imagine for the budget. I mean, seriously,
awful.
Well, as far as they couldn't put it on HBO Max, that's the other problem to answer that question, because remember what happened to Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah,
and that's the whole reason they couldn't just shit can this movie either, is because of that movie. And what happened there is, besides the licensing and the foreign deals they had to spend out a bunch of money because of that whole fiasco. And I can't imagine they wanted to cut checks to. I'm sure Michael Keaton had a back-end deal. I'm sure Ezra Miller had a back-end deal. I'm sure Ben Affleck had a back-end deal. They
ain't making any money on this, are they?
The only ones who probably didn't have a back-end deal would be like Sasha Calle and a few of the newer people involved. You know what I mean? Like, those are the only people who probably wouldn't. Now, the beauty of this, though, with this movie losing this much money, they don't have to pay anybody anything now.
So I guess, I mean, maybe it's a toss-up. Maybe they actually end up saving a bit. Like
that's what I was saying.
You could say that they've, they would have lost less money if it had been released on Max, but inevitably they would have had to have paid out a projected back-end deal to keep people sweet.
That's
now
what I was thinking,
they're just taking the loss. They're just taking a loss. So maybe, I guess maybe it does work itself out.
And they can write it down as a loss. Yeah, because look at, examples like the original Batman. Jack Nicholson on the back end deal alone is still known to be one of the highest paid roles in Hollywood, because he's gotten over $100 million in back end deals on the original Batman. And then look at the Joker, what a snafu that was for Warner Brothers. They lost out on a lot of that money because they didn't invest in it as much as the other production companies that did. So they didn't get to see nearly maybe a third or whatever of that billion, maybe a fourth.
That's crazy.
Super funny. Well, look, couldn't happen to a better movie being such a loss as this. Oh, so funny.
And as far as leaking online, I don't think it matters. No, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're jumping ahead there. God.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were addressing it at the same time. My bad.
No. We'll talk about it. It is true, though. So the entirety of the movie was leaked on Twitter over the weekend. It was up there for a little while. Now, this is, I mean, it's 2 hours, 24 minutes was uploaded. And it was apparently a pretty good cam copy, actually a good one. Now look, it's not, is this them trying to save, I don't know, some money on insurance, get some, I don't know, some form of an insurance thing, or almost like a tax write-off from that kind of perspective? Maybe, I don't know, but unlikely. I don't
think they can. I don't think there's
yeah, but it is funny nonetheless. It is super, super funny nonetheless.
If a pristine copy had leaked out a week before the movie, maybe you'd have an argument. This movie, no, it was dead on arrival.
Oh, it was gonna be dead anyway. To be fair, it was gonna be dead anyway.
DOA was definitely going to be this film, but there's a lot of films like that this year, and that's why we're ending up with these low box offices. I mean, this should have been a tentpole, and it wasn't.
Yeah. We're going to move on to some super chats, but I just need to address some non-super chats in the chat. People are going, says the guy that liked the movie. Yes, Mr. H liked The Flash. I gave it a 5 out of 10. It's in my review. That's not exactly singing its praises, bud. Let's not be dunces now, okay? I said I liked it better than I thought I would. I said it was better than I thought it was going to be. But my actual rating, and it's in the review, so let's not be selective, because contextual, it all matters. 5 out of 10. Or I said 5 or 6 out of 10. But I said I'm not singing its praises. It was literally 5 or 6 out of 10. So
and I think I think
that's as middling as it can be. But I was surprised I didn't hate it. That was the thing.
Well, I think I was less kind. So.
Oh, yeah, massively. So let's not get it twisted, ladies and gents. You know, I don't want to.
Well,
you know, let's not misconstrue it. I literally said a 5 out of 10.
Is it the worst movie in the DCU? No. Is it
there's some good parts
good?
of it.
No.
It's not amazing by any stretch.
Like, that's the thing. It's a half-baked cake at the end of the day. That's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Going back to what you said about the special effects, I believe it. I know for a fact, considering I know at least half a dozen people have seen this movie in various stages, the effects haven't changed since the early screenings. So that means they've done zero work on these to finish it off. Yeah.
Yeah, that is what I heard. In fact, I did have someone reached out to me, the person who originally reached out to me for the original leaks. Let me have a look. So they reached out to me. So apparently, it's a long thing. So new topic. What changed from test screening to final release of The Flash? I have a breakdown from my original source, who I did videos on, and now has told me what has changed. So all the recent talk about the time frame around the CGI work for The Flash is true.
Whoa.
Most of the post-production work on the film didn't really pick up until early mid-December 2022 at the earliest.
Wow.
I personally saw, this is my source, 3 separate screenings of The Flash from 14 months ago, April 2022, up to this past November. 2 under Walter Hamada and 1 under David Zaslav. The 2 after Hamada left Warner Brothers, but all before Gunn and Safran took over officially, included the cut with Cavill and Godot ending. In all 3 cuts, there were substantial amounts of post-production left to finish leading up to the November 2022. The only segments touched were those being prepped for the trailer drop in February. Clips of Affleck's Batman in the opening, both Barrys being electrocuted, scenes of action in the final battle with Zod, and the early Speed Force Coliseum scene, etc. All the other scenes with VFX and CGI, the hospital collapse, the Russian prison infiltration, young Barry and older Barry's final confrontation in and out of the Speed Force, everything with the Dark Flash and the multiverse sequences was either minimally touched or not touched at all in all 3 cuts. This was a decision by the heads at Warner Brothers as they tampered with the film. Work would start, be halted, and delayed again as they began to request alterations. Scene reshoots, alternate takes used, whole scenes removed, subplots dropped, order of scenes shifted, CGI renders redesigned, etc. All the way through late 2022 into early 2023. After Gunn and Safran took over, the whole middle and end of the film saw alterations that delayed the process even more. Every big mention of the Snyder Cut was ripped out. Yes, there were many through the film, and it was set to be canon, as well as any senses specifically addressing Superman or Kal-El, Superman's presence, hung over the last half of the film in all cuts of the early screenings, many being in a number of scenes for Supergirl alone or her with older Barry that are not in the theatrical cut. And of course, the Ezra Miller fiasco only delayed the process even further. So why does notorious DC Multiverse montage have horrible CGI? So this is the end cameo stuff. It's because the scene itself wasn't even finalized until early to mid 2023 about who will appear, and only a rough edit of how the scenes unfolded was ready when VFX teams were told to get it mostly done for CinemaCon in April. There's more. Overall, the theatrical release of The Flash is a bare-bones husk of the film shown in those early screenings that received such high praise. Studio interference gutted it, and the post-production teams were pushed to the limit for what transformed into a below-average film at best, but a perfect example of Warner Brothers' mishandlings of the entire DCEU as a whole.
Wow.
So that is apparently, basically, yeah, like they were tampering with it, changing it up all the time.
So everything we heard is true.
Stuff.
Yeah, everything a lot of that lines up with what I was hearing. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I wish he had gotten a little bit more into what it meant by Ezra's troubles, because that was the thing. That's one of the few things I haven't really gotten any confirmations on in my reporting, and that was when they were seriously considering reshooting the film with another actor at that point, because that was still before James Gunn had signed on as the head of DC, because they were looking at trying to, and that part, the other part was confirmed, where Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca were planning on trying to just salvage this cast into a new universe, basically, through this movie. And that's where I was hearing that all these guys were coming back. It was just going to be a new universe going forward. And then that all changed at the last minute. But leading up to that, they were still thinking, maybe we should recast both Ezra and Amber. So yeah.
And that's why the CGI is rather shit, because we got undercooked CGI from.
Well, and I was also told by somebody who, let's say, works close to or within the special effects kind of places too, was saying that all these reportings about it being so difficult and astronomically, undoable in the papers, it's like, no. Most of this crap was shot on green screen.
Yeah.
And he's shooting against somebody, so he shot both sides of it. So all they'd have to do is just shoot Ezra's sides mainly.
Yeah.
And a few other things. They probably would have gotten away without even having to bring anybody else back, is what I was being told.
And they may have just been able to graft somebody else on his performance.
That was the question that was going around, was like, can they? Because that goes back to the Crispin Glover argument. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but that is the people from Back to the Future got sued over using footage of him in Back to the Future 2 and his likeness without his permission. So ever since then, they are very touchy about what you can and cannot use from a previous actor's work.
Unless the actor's paid, and it wouldn't,
unless they're paid and sign off on it. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that would have gone a lot of way to earn him goodwill if that would have been the outcome. But that's not what
I'm sure they could have bullied him into it. And done it cheaper on the cheap. But that was what is being told, is it could still be done, but you're still looking at 50, 60, 70 or more $1 million worth of work. But I was told it would be a lot less than what they put into the Justice League Snyder Cut.
Everything we heard was accurate. It's just bananas.
That's the only thing I haven't really gotten confirmed yet. So
crazy stuff. So we actually have a whole bunch of super chats that have come in, so we're going to get to them now before we move on. We also got Nick here, just dropping in.
What's going on, guys? Sorry I missed last Thursday. I saw Nate's message like late that night, and I was like, crap, it is Thursday today. I was thinking it was Wednesday today. I was all jacked up, but anyways, it wasn't on purpose. It wasn't on purpose.
It's fine. You didn't have a chill stream or anything, so there you go.
Yeah. We didn't do anything Thursday.
Echo Base Network.
Wow,
I like it. Well, let's get to some of these super chats. So, thank you everyone for contributing to the show. It genuinely helps, and some of these are so good they get turned into their own topics on the topic videos on the second channel, which you can find linked in the description box. So Tom working for $5 says, too much baggage and too little too late. Project collected dust for a minute, not a good sign. What didn't fail? Michael Keaton do a Batman Beyond. Well, we won't cover this too much because we do actually have that as a
did he succeed though?
Wait.
No, I mean, Michael Keaton, do you like, that was my biggest thing, like walking out of the movie. I know some people were jazzed about it.
I really think they did a great job.
No, I feel like it was like when you have an old band or singer do like a greatest hits collection of his old songs, but he re-records them. And they just don't have the same spunk that they had originally. And it's like, it just kind of feels sad at the end of the day. That's kind of what I felt like. I felt bad for him.
Hey, he got paid a lot for this movie.
Oh, he did, but I mean, I was like,
I feel bad for him. He's taking
this is your legacy
millions,
now.
Yeah. Mihon for 50 something krona.
I think that's Swedish. if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Swedish krona.
Or is it Swiss
As this
krona?
summer, Swiss krona, yeah. As this summer will go down in history as the worst box office, what year was the best, according to you? Tintin is the true Indy 5. 22 words left, ran out.
That's a
Love
good
it.
question. I mean, if you go by pure numbers, I believe, wasn't it 2009? Was it 2000? What year was it?
Wasn't it
2018
2018
or 19?
or 2019?
Yeah, I was gonna say
I think?
2018 or 19. I think. Yeah.
2018, 2019, those 2 years were the best box office numbers in history as performance measured by dollars. As performance measured by tickets, we'll never know because they stopped tracking ticket sales, butts and seats, sometime in the early aughts.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't really have.
You'd have to go back probably then to like the late 70s and 80s because like you have years like 77 and 78 where movies like Star Wars
butts and
was
seats
continuing to play up against like Superman, and you still had like Smokey and the Bandit and other movies that played and played and played. The 80s, you had years like 82 and 84 and 89 where you just had bucket loads of movies that came out.
Yeah.
But also, are we saying? Yeah, I mean, are we saying monetary wise, or are we saying quality of movies?
Oh, that's it.
Well, I think both
like,
in those cases of the 80s films. But go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no. But this is what I was going to say. Like as well, you know, are you saying about eras? Because this is, you know, on a yearly basis. Maybe we could just go into eras. I mean, I'd say the 80s was, you know.
I mean, you look at an example like 84, where you had a summer where Gremlins and Ghostbusters opened up on the same day. And still Beverly Hills Cop ended up being the highest grossing movie of the year overall. Like, I mean, you have those three films alone, not to mention Karate Kid and God knows how many others we could be here for all day talking about. I mean, and they were big blockbuster hits, right? Now by inflation, you'd have to go through it. And I'd be willing to bet 82 or 84 are probably up there for the biggest year, if not 89, simply because of Batman and Indiana Jones and a couple of those movies that came out alone. The between that and 2019, yeah.
What year did Terminator drop?
That would have been 91. That was that was like one of the only big movies.
91?
I think it was 91, yeah.
Terminator
1? Oh, Terminator 1 was 84.
Oh, no.
Terminator 1 didn't do thing is Terminator 1 didn't do as well in the theaters. It did okay.
No, but
it did better on cable and video. Yeah.
Talking about quality as well, right? Like
70,
it all matters.
77 to 94 would have been the heyday for
pretty much 75.
Well, that's a good range.
Yeah,
that's
good range.
That's butts and seats and
Alien in there, all the sci-fi epics that dropped. All the horror epics that dropped as well. That's a good range.
Well, the summer blockbuster started with Jaws, so that's why I usually go 75 to usually about 95 or 96, because 96 also had Independence Day. Which that was one of the last times where I felt like one of those movies like from the 70s or 80s where we had this was a big event film that everybody was going to see. Right?
That's true, but I mean, again, we're talking about quality, butts and seats, overall, monetary earnings. I mean, you can also always look at the first Spider-Man film with Tony Maguire, and just be
that's kind of a new era, though. That's the thing is like that's kind of that. You have Independence Day is kind of like a demarcation, because then after that, we kind of had shit like Godzilla and crap like that. And then Spider-Man came along after Phantom Menace and Godzilla. Like, because Phantom Menace and Godzilla were big events, but they also felt like disappointing events.
They were very disappointing.
Yeah.
According to Box Office Mojo, the biggest year for movies was 2018 with almost 12 billion.
Yep, that's what we were thinking. Yep, it was either that or 19.
Billion.
Yeah.
Wow. Goodness me.
They had 2 consecutive years, 2018, 2019. They were enormous at the box office. There was very little fall off from 2018 to 2019.
Yep, 2016 had a good year too. It was 11.375 billion.
And 2015 was that point at which you had the switching of the gears, and it was likely driven by just superhero stuff. And
Jurassic World came out that year too.
You had the year that Force Awakens and Jurassic World came out, and then you had the year that Infinity War came out, and then Endgame and stuff like that after that.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. You
got your money's worth, I think.
Yeah.
Got a super sticker from Al Humphreys. Thank you so much, my dude, for £5. Massively appreciate it.
Yep, that's a pair. lifting some
Yeah,
weight.
I know.
I just
We're
want
an
to say there's 400 people watching, and only 100 and some of you have hit that like button.
Oh yeah.
Come
Do
on,
better.
guys. Hit that
Do better.
thumbs up button. It's good for you because it tells YouTube that you want to watch this stuff. So it potentially will notify you in future, basically.
You hope.
That's the key word, potentially.
Yeah, well, that's like everything with YouTube. Would it potentially do this? Accident seller for 50 Norwegian kroner says, ironic that Oppenheimer, a movie literally about the man behind the nuke, might actually be one of the very few movies that doesn't bomb this year.
Well, we'll have to see.
Well, the thing is, I don't know. We've covered this a good few times. The budget was tiny, so I think it will make money.
It'll make money.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think we get it down as like a $90 million.
Wow,
budget.
that's pretty low for Nolan. Okay.
We discussed this before, like, and we were all surprised.
Was I here on this episode?
Yeah.
I am on pain meds, so you have to excuse me on that. But okay.
Yeah, they spent $100 million on the film.
Because I argued, unless it was on that episode where I said they should have moved it to.
But that's up because 2 weeks ago the reported budget for production was 90 million or 90 some million. So I'm surprised. I double checked just now, but
90 to 100.
That's cheap.
Right.
It's cheap. Yeah. For a Nolan movie, it's really cheap.
But what are you doing with it? I mean, also, so you got to remember the studio. He didn't make much money on Tenet, so they would have downsized budgets from there as well.
It's also because it's mostly practical. I imagine that keeps the budget down.
Yeah, massively. Tom Worker, $5 says sexual components to popularity of Wonder Woman and Aquaman. What did the Flash have? As he goes back in time and grooms himself.
True story.
Oh,
I mean, it is actually true. He does shape himself in the past. He does, doesn't he? I mean, he literally looks after himself. He shapes himself.
Tries to get himself in shape. But what is the result of that? He creates the ultimate guy out of himself. I think there's more to this. Maybe we need to really examine this film now. There's more to this whole Barry killed his mom thing too. I've been trying to get that hashtag going. So
there is some deep shit going on. Yeah. Flash groomed himself, ladies and gents. He went to the past and groomed himself. Love it.
I'm gonna steal that now.
That's really meta, actually.
It is very meta.
It is. Nostradamus for $10 says there is only one way to save the movie business at this point, and that is full frontal.
I don't know if that would save it or kill it.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
Look, I know a lot of people are probably bringing this joke up because of the full frontal J-Law scene. Did you? Hey, what did you talked a little bit about that culture, but I think that's going to save movies or no?
It saved my opinion of that film. It actually improved my review. We are now 1 week removed almost from me seeing the film to review it.
And what film is this?
No Hard Feelings.
Oh, No Hard Feelings. Sorry.
Yeah, and my opinion has gone up 1 full point.
Well, here's my problem: is I don't want to see either one of these women naked. They are not appealing to me because of their. Exactly that.
Get that off, Coach.
J-Lo has a full frontal in that movie.
J-Law, Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah.
Oh, Jennifer.
Not J-Lo. If it was J-Lo, I'd be there.
Oh,
that's better, right?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Jennifer Lawrence. Everybody's seen all her little leaked videos anyway.
Somebody wants to see if Jennifer's still from the block, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, look, first of all, so I ranked that film at a 5, and then I've now pushed it up to a 6.
Oh, I bet you have.
Yeah.
No, but I've been hearing people speak out mostly positively about this movie. But we need movies like this. I don't want to dump on it, but going off of the conversation we were just having,
they have their time and place for sure.
Well, just going off the conversation we were having, and this is what James Gunn is saying too in his talk with Michael Rosenbaum, is we need more mid-level movies. Hollywood needs to back the fuck off of these, and pardon my French, but they do. And I know producers for years have been griping about it privately, and they've been wanting to get away from the superhero craze. But when people say that there's a superhero fatigue, I think it's more than that. I think it's a bloated fatigue because everything is affected by it. It's kind of ironic because that's what these superhero movies sometimes ask is Batman's antics, pushing people like the Joker into existence, right? Or is he there to actually fight them, or is it vice versa? Is it yin and yang, or is it one creating the other? And in this case, what you have is superhero movies have now upped the ante for movies like Mission Impossible and other action films and Expendables and all these other movies to have to try and compete with that, to where these used to be the more mid-level films, and then your smaller pictures were your rom-coms and your dramas and stuff, and those were made for, you know, 10, $15 million budgets. Your action films had your 50, $60 million budgets, and then your big blockbuster films that you were, you know, banking on them, you would give your 80, 90, $100 million budgets. Like, I remember when Hollywood would freak out because, and this is why I thought you meant Terminator 2 earlier, H, is because I thought we were going by box office business, because Terminator 2 at that time happened to be one of the biggest movies ever made in the box office, but it also was the most expensive movie ever made at that time.
Yeah.
And now looking at that budget, it's quaint in comparison. You know?
Yeah. And we talked about this on other streams before about how these movie studios have got to get away from this ginormous budget in these films.
One of them was Brie. It's Brie.
Who was the last one?
That was Brie.
Oh, is she holding a
The one
giant?
in the bikini was Brie Larson.
That's Brie.
That's younger Brie, ain't it? Or that's very touched up by Photoshop Brie.
That is
Barbie Brie.
Yeah. Barbie.
Anyway, let's
this is Farmer Brie.
Okay, you're confusing us, culture.
Let's shuffle on.
Okay, sorry.
So horseradish batter for £5 says, I still say to improve the Flash, replace Ezra with Sonic. And for good measure, have him recruit Mexican Iron Man to help.
It would help if they replaced him with that ugly Sonic.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be.
Would that have been ironic? It's like, okay, we need something.
That would be hilarious.
Well, we got this unused model for the bad Sonic with the weird teeth. Yeah, put that one in there. People will forget all about Ezra. Sorry. It'd be too much fun, too. Yes, it would be kind of fun, horseradish. Somebody's going to do that. That's the beauty of things being so easy now.
Super cut like that.
Somebody will do that.
Gypsy Danny Mixboy for $4.99 says the Flash is what Superman Lives would have been, a messy Frankenstein movie. That's true, actually. I mean, you can draw some comparisons between the two to a certain degree. Studio involvement, meddling, etc.
Yeah.
You know, messy production or production hell, etc. I mean, it's true. Like, is that what, you know, would that have been the inevitable outcome with Superman Lives?
I know a lot of people want to see that or would have wondered what it would have been like to see that movie, but all you have to do is check out the great documentary, The Death of Superman Lives, to know that this was probably not going to be something we were all hoping for. And frankly, you had way too many cooks in the kitchen. You had a yes man in Kevin Smith as a writer who was willing to try and do whatever John Peters wanted, and clearly Tim Burton didn't want. You know, and at the end of the day, it's sad that it got that close to production and we never got to see the film. I would love to see it just out of pure morbid curiosity. But it makes me wonder how much damage it would have done at that time, especially right after Batman and Robin. Like, it makes you wonder, would we have gotten Spider-Man? Think about that for a minute. If we went from Batman and Robin to Superman Lives and coming out and really turning the audience off of superhero films, maybe X-Men doesn't do so well at the box office because of that.
Right.
And we don't get Spider-Man.
Yeah. Which kind of changed the game.
Yeah, in our own little Spider-Verse, where we're Spider-Verseless.
Yeah. And real quick, just want to say, Gypsy Danny Mixboy, thank you for your very first ever super chat.
What was our first one? Thank you so much. Wow.
Thanks for breaking your cherry here.
Nice.
That's epic. No, thank you so much. I agree. Like, I do think that if Superman Lives had come out, I think it would have been this. I agree. Like, I do actually think it would have been on a messy scale of what the Flash is as well.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty astute observation, to be honest.
Yeah.
Again, just movies that should never have been made, got no place being made. One obviously didn't, but yeah, like the other one shouldn't have been made either.
You got to think about it. We had a world where that didn't come out, but Blade did, right? Which then led to, you know, the next thing being X-Men. Those two movies, I feel like those two being a hit like they were, led us to that next level. Yeah.
Really important.
So, speaking of Blade, did you guys hear, or is that one of the topics for today? The news on the new Blade?
Oh, there's new Blade news.
Send it in the private chat, but
yeah, let me find it.
I
just saw it today.
Let's shuffle on now as well. So we'll get to some more of these super chats in a minute, guys. So if you haven't had your super chat read, we will be getting to them in a second. But I want to move on to our next topic because I think we all need a good laugh, and it is very, very funny. But it's talking about marketing budgets and things like that, and Disney, Lucasfilm. It's like they're setting up Indiana Jones completely for failure, because at the moment, currently, they're actually advertising on the New York City subway.
Oh yeah.
Audio adverts, and not only that, the billboards that show you when your next train is arriving. Don't worry about that train. Don't worry about your train. You want to hear about Indiana Jones, of course. You want to see some scrolling text of Indiana Jones, don't you? An advert in text format, all digitized. That's what everyone wants. Ridiculous. I mean, what a way to tune people out of actual serious announcements. So this is what's been happening, right? I just heard a short ad for the new Indiana Jones movie played over the loudspeakers at my subway stop. I realised the MTA is struggling financially, but audio commercials inserted into my commute is not a positive development. It's like they're just pissing people off with rate increases on their way to. And there's so much of this over on Twitter. Seriously, MTA is selling audio ads now. Way to train the public to intentionally ignore loudspeaker announcements.
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh, it gets better. Like, it actually gets better. So where is it? It's God, I couldn't believe it. Here you go. Just mind your own business. Waiting for your tube, your train. Oh. In 10 days, a legend will face his destiny. Lucasfilm's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Rated PG-13. Only on theaters on June 30th. They couldn't even spell it right.
Wow.
Literally.
So
it's like they were getting ready. Like, is it going to be on Disney Plus or in theaters? We haven't decided yet.
Yeah.
Only on theaters. I mean, for fuck's sake. What a way to annoy people. I mean, this is the way to do it, is it? This is the way. And not only that, this one took up the entire board because of how they formatted it.
Yeah, you listening, bogey?
Yeah. And interestingly enough, these particular signs can be used to do video ads if you wanted to do them proper, but they didn't even bother to do that.
You know what these remind me of is when I get gas at the gas station and they got that little TV there and I got to listen to their little entertainment.
Oh yeah,
network
the
news.
commercials or the
and all that crap.
Or yeah.
And the MTA is in financial straits, right? And Price of Reason did a great job in the video that was what inspired this article. But at the same time, you had you're having the MTA increase, or the transit authority increase the price of tolls and everything in New York to quote unquote reduce congestion. No, they're freaking running out of money because of all the social programs. So it's insane. But the last thing in the world I want is an audio announcement when I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to, make my flight, in the airport or make my train.
Yeah. But it's true. Like, it literally trains you to ignore them.
Yeah. Well, it's like
you start hearing adverts, you're like, I don't care, whatever.
Well, and now, but you've also created a situation where the employees are going to tune that crap out too.
Yes.
So like if you've ever worked in retail, like when you were going to school or whatever, and you were listening to this same elevator music all dang day, you didn't even hear it anymore.
Funny.
Yeah, bad news, man.
So funny, but also, like, the thing is, you're setting it up for failure, right? Massively, because you are irritated. Like, no one is interested in this movie anyway. But now you're advertising it in a way which has become offensive to people. It's become intrusive and offensive. And so people are then going to be, their association to this movie will be even worse. Even worse. They're like, no, mate, I don't want to go see this film that just kept interrupting my commute 10 times.
Well, it's kind of oversaturating, right? Like, it's there's a way to do these markets for these movies, and I've only seen a few movies that have done it in the last couple of years that are even remotely good. this is like an oversaturation situation. It feels like no, you're trying to create a buzz for a market that doesn't exist. And I think the bigger thing is that they're forgetting is that most of their audience is older than us.
Not
Like,
wrong.
I mean, Indiana Jones is a different animal. I've been saying this for a few months now, but I think that I'm going to have to go the opposite way from what I was saying before. Is I think it could pull in the Top Gun crowd. I don't know if it can anymore because the Top Gun crowd also included a lot younger people, and I don't think younger people give two shits about Indiana Jones. We are literally so far out from the last one, and the last one was so bad, and it didn't have any presence with the fan base that I think Indiana Jones, sadly, might be one of those franchises, and I think Andre has kind of alluded to this too, that has kind of gone to the wayside that people just don't care about anymore, and is, not as bad as like the Lone Ranger or something like that, but to where it's just kind of fell out of the ethos or whatever you want to call it.
I understand where you guys are coming from with that thought process, but I'll just say this: had Kingdom of the Crystal Skull actually been good, it would be an entirely different conversation right now.
I agree. I mean, because Star Wars, that's maybe, and if Six is listening, she's going to appreciate this. That maybe goes to how, say something about the prequels, right?
Yeah.
The power of the fact that Star Wars Force Awakens did as well as it did when it came out is pretty much predicated on the fact that Star Wars was passed down to the next generation. I'm not so sure the next generation got on board with Indiana Jones, and I think Crystal Skull was a major piece of that puzzle. As to why they didn't is because a large portion of the audience was turned off by that. So, I mean, it just didn't carry on.
The younger generation's modern day Indiana Jones is freaking Nathan Drake in the Uncharted series. In the video game.
More kids, yeah, you're right, Nick. More kids know who he is or who Tomb Raider Lara Croft is than know who Indiana Jones is, I bet.
Well, it didn't help that you took 15 years to come up with this fifth film.
Oh, goodness me, yeah.
So I don't know. I mean,
this film was going to absolutely bomb, and for goodness sake, to advertise it in this way is just going to piss people off more and more and more. And you know what? It reeks of desperation. It absolutely reeks of desperation.
Saturation out of desperation, exactly.
Yeah. They're just pulling out all the stops possible. Like, no one's going to watch it. I mean, did anyone see those Helena theme featurettes? Plastered everywhere
but I've
on
been
Twitter.
something
John Williams, there's Helena's theme. Like, you're trying to make her a thing. No one's interested in watching this bitch.
You know what's sad is that some of the last new music this man will probably write too.
I know.
And I love John Williams. I actually just saw that he's playing Red Rocks in Colorado this year with the Colorado Symphony Orchestra, and I would love to go see him at Red Rocks. But his music's so good. As much as I hated the sequel trilogy, I actually liked the Rey theme.
It's not bad
in those movies. The music, I didn't really have a whole lot of issues with the music at all. Even though, of course, the movies were trash.
Well, but the other problem is she's opened her mouth again, which doesn't help anything ever, and has turned off a bunch of more people to this film. And they, because you're a toxic phobe something or another. I'm like, good Lord, lady.
Well, and the other problem is not as many people out. Well, here's the thing: she is only in this movie for people in Hollywood. Nobody outside of Hollywood knows who this bitch is. Yeah. And if they do, they don't like her.
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh dear. Well, anyway, that's funny. We'll get on to some more super chats now.
They've been better than the last.
They have. We got T Neil 89 dislikes puns for $5. Says, I think I've heard of this strategy. I believe it's a process called lying. Perhaps I'll explain the discrepancies in review and film quality. I don't know what that's referring to. I think that's
the Flash. That was during the Flash.
Flash, right?
Well, I don't know if you touched on this at all in any of your videos, H. If you did, I missed it. But we had talked about this last week, where there's some accusations flying off at Warner, especially coming out of their Chinese advertising.
Yes, that they paid.
That they had paid some people off, and I see where they're coming from. And then we see this all the time in our reviews too, and we pointed this out, where
Yeah,
And again, we don't think they're being paid directly in payola, but they're being paid in ways, right? Like through access and through goodie bags and other things. Yes.
Well, access media's existed forever, but there's a little bit more access in the access now.
He follows up with another $2. Says, "Ahoy, Tom. Sorry I missed today's members stream." There you go.
Well, you're here now.
I missed the stream.
Don't worry, Sneal, and thank you for the support, my friend.
Tom working for $2 says Crispin was a good start about owning your likeness. Yes.
That's an interesting case.
True. Yeah. Yeah, no, it absolutely is.
Spot on, Tom.
Accident Seller, 50 Norwegian credits. Supergirl was very easy on the eyes, though. I was pleasantly surprised and aroused.
Well, good for you, I guess.
Hey, I saw the trailer. I didn't really get nothing, but teach their own.
Sasha Kai was one of the better things of the film.
Yeah, she wasn't horrendous. Well, she was kind of horrendous, but also not horrendous. But never mind. The Boxing Historian for Boxing Historian 206 for $5 says 97 to 98 were the last great quality years of summer movies. Transformers: Rise of the Beast will make money once it's released everywhere else. What was in 97 and 98?
Well, wasn't that when Rush Hour came out? And
Rush Hour was good, wasn't it? God, I like Rush Hour.
What?
That was when Jackie Chan was doing quite a lot of stuff, didn't he? Do Shanghai Noon as well, Shanghai Nights or Shanghai Noon or something like that. That was funny. That was a good one as well. He did loads of like buddy cop things. They were brilliant at the time. I don't know what they're like now. If they hold up, but goodness me, I remember at the time.
Well, I mean, yeah. Now he just works full time for the CCP.
Yeah, I know. Same as Bonnie, though.
Boogie Nights came out. Jackie Chan's First Strike, Men in Black, Lost World. That was probably the worst one. Liar.
But saying that it's the last of the good summer years, I could see that.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of have
descended from there. I can see that's
like I said, 96, 97, 98, somewhere in there's where things kind of started going in this other direction, and then it felt like we got reinvigorated with Spider-Man and X-Men stuff like that.
Yep, 98 had Titanic, Armageddon, Saving Private Ryan,
Godzilla.
So T-Nail89 says, I'm hyped for Ridley Scott's Napoleon film in November.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, he was supposed to be doing some Merlin films for Disney. Like, that's what he was doing to get his name out at Disney to then continue his Prometheus films, basically. But they've never materialized, so I don't know what's happening with him these days. Jimmy Can't for £1.99 says Aquaman 2 will do well overseas, just like the first. I wouldn't bet on it, though, now. I think all bets are off on pretty much most.
Then there's been a lot of space between the films now. That's a thing that's much different than it used to be in a world where
that's been hacked to pieces.
It has. Oh God, that's the one that. Here's the thing: is that I've been told from the start that the movie's problem isn't anything other than it's a piece of crap. Like it's
like they had the Atlanteans lecturing the UN on climate change and stuff like that.
Well, that's what we want in our Aquaman movie.
That's what I want in my Aquaman.
I'm not surprised because I've been saying, we're on to the next thing past this, social. It's onto the environmental stuff now. We're already seeing it. So
that was one reason I thought Avatar 2 was not going to really do well because of so much time had passed, and that movie surprised me.
I think it surprised everyone there.
Yeah.
Goodness I still don't understand that one, but okay.
But let me ask this question then. Is the third film going to be that popular?
Well, I don't know. This is the thing, isn't it? Will people have a memory of the last one now and go, you know what, actually, they're not like, I've heard lots of people who watched it on streaming and they were like, fucking hell, that was hours of my life I can never get back. So I do wonder, whether the people that watched it in theaters will now go, you know what, I'm good.
I'm still curious.
I don't know. I would say I'm not going to give an opinion on it at this point because I was wrong on the last one.
Yeah.
I'm done on that. No betting. I'm not a betting man when it comes to Avatar anymore.
I don't understand it, but I guess there's got to be something to it because they've already sold out of the 3D Blu-rays.
Goodness
Like,
me.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know if they did a really low run or what. I mean, I was lucky enough to get my hands on one, and I didn't give a shit. And I've said if somebody wants it, I'll gladly sell it to you for $100 right now, so you don't have to wait.
Very good.
Is it 4K Blu-ray?
No, well, no, it's the 4Ks are still in plentiful supply.
Oh, okay.
They also did a 3D Blu-ray, which is a rarity. We don't usually get 3D Blu-rays anymore, but I guess they sold out instantly. And even all the they've been putting out things saying, "Oh, don't worry, we're pressing more. They're coming. They're coming. They're coming." Blah blah.
I feel like the only person that still uses the 3D on their 3D TV.
I have it on mine.
I have two TVs that still have it. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I can actually on mine. I can actually switch regular TV to 3D mode to where it's like the fake 3D.
Yeah,
you know,
it's kind of eh.
Yeah,
Well,
It actually
I've
works
just
pretty
got
good with
a-
animation. But anyway, sorry,
Yeah.
Nate.
Well, I've just got a Sony, so it doesn't have anything like that. It's just a Bravia.
Well, and the thing
so
is, a
Sony.
lot of-
That's what I got. That's what I got.
Well, it
I
doesn't
wonder if we're
any
going to have a bit of a
fucking Fandango
resurgence in 3D
shit.
because of two things. We have, and I don't mean this in theaters, but I mean at home, because we have projectors now are becoming more popular.
This is true, yeah. They're big.
And a
thing,
lot
yeah.
of the projectors handle 3D and Oculus Rift and other VR stuff. And I think Sony's supposed to be doing their new VR thing too, which has 4K. So that's another thing. And I guess a lot of the 3D movies and stuff have a bit of a life. Like I guess Oculus Rift and these places where you can buy 3D movies for that, they have movies that you can't even get on 3D Blu-ray. And I'm kind of like, are you kidding me? That's bullshit. I want those 3D movies.
Yeah, I got Top Gun in 3D, and it's pretty good. And
I've got
Predator.
Top Gun, but I guess like the remake of RoboCop has actually was done in 3D, but we never got a Blu-ray of it. But that's one you can get through like some of these places and other places. But yeah, stuff like that.
Let's shuffle on to some of these super chats now. So we got Gary for £5 says, when I was in Romania, She-Hulk was plastered everywhere on buildings and signs all over the city. It drove me mad. They must have been pretty selective where they were doing that then.
Maybe it was cheap there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you know what? That probably is. No, that probably is.
$100 billboard space.
Didn't see any of it around here. Didn't see any of it at all. So I think some of that would be that. Mexican Iron Man for $4.99 says, don't forget about the indie Applebee's promo, guys.
Probably the only one that makes
Applebee's
sense.
has a indie promo?
Yes.
Seriously? Oh my God, I've not
seen this.
Yeah, 35.
It's like 30, I forgot Applebee's even existed anymore.
Yeah, 35 bucks will get you a free ticket. $70 gets you two. And I tell you what, I could probably drink enough to get a free ticket.
That's
and
the
then
thing. Culture is going like, they do serve drinks there.
Yeah, it's because otherwise, I mean, their food is like shoe leather and weirdness.
Well,
hey, no, their Tex-Mex shrimp bowl is awesome.
Dude, their shrimp is like rubber balls. It's like a hunk.
They're like a callback to the early '90s, though, man. I mean, they haven't changed ever since.
Yeah, Charlie's, Ruby Tuesdays, same.
In fact, I think they're still using the same shrimp from the '90s, according to Culture. So
yeah, they are, man. It's,
guys,
it's like putting a racquetball in your mouth.
We're gonna I don't know what you're talking about.
Move on.
We're going to move on to our next topic because one of our super chats works into it, right? Our next topic is what a lot of people have been wanting us to talk about. And it is the fact that this is now confirmed. Superman Legacy. James Gunn taps David Corn Sweat, and Rachel Brosnahan for Clark Kent and Lois Lane in DC Studios film. Now, this is actually confirmed. James Gunn has confirmed this over on Twitter.
Yes.
So this is 100% confirmed. But what this ties into with Super Chat is this one. So the Skarsgård brothers, Alexander and Bill, are both on the shortlist for Luther. Great choices, but I still wish it was Billy Zane or Mark Strong. Now, I don't think Mark Strong should do it, to be honest. I think he's been sort of typecast as that. I like him in comedic roles. Billy Zane, maybe. Skarsgård brothers, in comparison to these people, what do we think? Let's talk about
here's the
this
thing. I
as
think there's a wild card
thing.
here. I think there's a wild card in this mix. And we were talking about this the other night. Because Renfield, what's his name? Nicholas Hoult.
Oh, yeah, he's good, yeah.
He put himself in the running for Superman, but we had heard that he was initially being looked at for Luther. So that I wonder if he's kind of in the same kind of a league as the Skarsgård. So I wonder if he's might not be a wild card in this mix. But yeah, the two Skarsgård brothers are being looked at otherwise, is what we've heard.
They both have different looks too.
Yeah, well, going on to this, because these are people I've never really even heard of before. So, Warner Brothers and DC Studios have the new Clark Kent and Lois Lane. David Corenswet has been set to play Superman, while Rachel Brosnahan are on board to play Lois Lane. The decision comes after the two were among the few selected to test in front of DC co-chairs Peter Safran and James Gunn in full costume and makeup for the parts. So they took it pretty bloody seriously then. Tests took place over 2 days with the men, one of which were with the three actors in full Superman attire. Sources close to the situation said that each actor had closed test deals that would expire after 2 business weeks. So clearly all parties wanted this sorted out before the potential SAG-AFTRA strike, which could go into effect at midnight on June 30th. So they were smart there.
Yeah.
So Warner Brothers has yet to say whether or not they will be attending this year's Comic-Con in San Diego. That's true, actually. But basically, I mean, so who are they? So the blah, 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 blah. So I don't know who these people are. So Corenswet, that'd be his first major leading role in a major studio film, having previously appeared in projects like Pearl. He was in Pearl? Okay. The Politician and We Own This City. From the start, his name has floated to the top, and following that final audition, sealed the deal on the biggest role of his career thus far. Brosnan is coming off a final season of a career-making role in Amazon's The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which has earned a number of accolades, including an Emmy win. It's also been at the top of the list of women play Lois Lane, following what many have described as the best audition of the process.
And
so what do we think? What do we think? I mean, look, look, he's got the jawline.
I like this casting. I'll be honest with you.
How old is he though? Because they wanted a young Superman.
20. Well, that's the thing, is they were looking for early years Superman, which would be technically 30s. Let me see here.
Yeah, Brosnahan's 32 years old. She's also the niece of the handbag designer.
He's
Kate
29.
Kate Spade, who is self-deleted just a few years ago.
So these are basically the right age. They're almost the same age, roughly, a little bit older actually than Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder were when they took on the roles, because Chris, I believe, was 24 when he was cast, and Margot, I believe, was 27. So, and you kind of, there's nothing wrong with having a little bit more older Lois Lane, because she has to be a bit more assertive.
Yes.
Because we were talking about this last night. Like, the best Lois Lanes we've ever had have been, you know, the ones that got her the best have been like beyond the animated versions where, you know, Margot and what's her face from the 90s show, Terry Hatcher. And in some cases, you might even argue that Terry probably did it the best. And I see a lot of this here, and a lot of people have compared her to His Girl Friday kind of actress, to where I think she can pull this off. And because that's the whole thing. Lois is not like a girl boss, but she's a very strong feminine character in a sense that she's independent. She dismisses Clark and every other guy in her life because she don't need them. She can do what she needs to do without anybody else. But Superman's a different story, right? Superman's one of the only guys that she can kind of look up to and want to impress, because he's different, and it's so much out of any league of any other man, right? And that also adds to the credence of how she can be around Clark and not see that they're the same person, because she's pretty much ignoring Clark in that sense.
I mean, I think this is a bad photo of this Corenswet guy. Like,
it is, because I've seen better photos of him.
It's quite muted. Like, you know, lots of people are saying, "Oh, I don't see him as Superman," etc. I think it's the light. I think the lighting on his face, and sort of, because, like, you know, Superman's got like a bit of a twinkle in his eye, you know, and this is quite muted, and I think that's probably part of it. And also, you got to remember, he's rocking that 5 o'clock shadow. That'll all be gone as well. I mean, I don't really know anything about these people, though, to be fair. Like,
I'm in the same boat.
Upon looks, he's got, strong enough jawline, I guess.
Of the three, that he was the best as far as I'm concerned, look wise.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, how big is he? What's the musculature on the chap? Because that matters. I mean, the thing is, yeah, he might just be in a muscle suit and stuff.
6'4".
Oh wow, okay.
Well, that's you want a statuesque bloke to play Superman. That sort of works there as well.
Yeah, he's a big dude. He'll be working out for the next few months, I guarantee it.
Oh, there you go. They changed the photo.
Wow.
Oh, really?
They're listening to the stream.
That was amazing.
The photo.
That was probably his people who went out there and said, "We don't want that photo. We want this one."
Yeah.
That's so literally someone said Magitech Mags said if you refresh the page, I think there's
thank you,
photo.
Mags.
I see a different one. Thank you so much.
Mags?
I mean,
nice catch.
So this with the curls of the last one, I'd say is about right for a Superman-esque Clark Kent sort of character, I'd say.
Yeah. Look-wise, I think he's got it. I have not seen him in anything, which is fine with me because I like that idea. I want to go in not knowing this actor at all.
That is absolutely hilarious. I'm like, it's not
live,
very good photo.
They really picked a picture of her that kind of washes out her complexion because she's got
an awful photo.
Yeah, she's got a really nice complexion and olive kinds of skin. She did a brilliant job in The Marvelous Miss Maisel. She was very talented. And she does come from a moneyed family, but in an interesting.
And I haven't seen that, but from what I've heard about that show, that's where I think she might.
She got it. She got it.
A shoe-in.
Yeah, it was a shoe-in. There wasn't going to be a better Lois Lane at once.
Honestly, okay. And here's some inside track business. This is what I had heard. She was the definite from the start.
Yeah, that didn't surprise me.
In fact, I had heard that it was up to her to lose the role.
Wow.
In fact, that's what I was told from an inside source, that she basically they were hoping that, she was going to say yes. That was more like they were going after her, not the other way around.
Yeah. And Nikki is also correct. She was also genius in House of Cards on Netflix.
Right.
Her performances, every time I've seen her, I've been impressed. So I think she's got the chops. I just hope she gets a script, which means I hope he gets a script, which means I hope the film is good.
That just tells me that probably Gunn had her in mind to begin with, from what I had been hearing. I could be
kind
wrong on that.
Around her type
exactly
thing,
my point. Like he may have watched Miss Maisel and been like, "This is my Lois Lane."
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. I mean, I don't think he's the best person for the job for writing a Superman film. Personally, I've said that many times. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, you can cast the right people, but unless you write them well enough, it doesn't matter.
I don't know. I think people.
You don't know. That's a pretty obvious statement, Tom. Come on now.
I think James Gunn is the right person to be writing a Superman movie.
Yeah. Do you think?
Yeah, because
really? Wow.
I mean, especially if you watch like the original Donner Superman the movie, there's a lot of humor and other elements that people forget about, and I don't mean like stupid humor either. I mean just like that comes out of the characters, and that's what Gunn does best is characters, and that's what we love about Superman. Everybody knows these characters. Everybody knows them. I mean, everybody knows who Jimmy Olsen is. Everybody knows who Lois Lane is. Everybody knows who Lex Luthor is. Everybody knows who Perry White is. Like, everybody knows them. I don't even have to name the main characters yet. I've even got to Clark Kent and Mon Pocket and all that kind of stuff. Right. Yeah, and Kal-El and all that. Jor-El and blah, 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 blah. So I think that this is going to be his shoe. And now Batman and stuff down the road, I'm more worried about. He's got Andy Muschietti working on that now. We'll see if that comes around, but I'm not so sure that's the guy you want on a Batman movie.
No, I don't think so either.
Tom, I was just gonna say, with James Gunn being involved, I'm sure he's gonna probably try bringing some of his friends. And stuff.
Absolutely.
I heard that they're gonna go for a very different version of Lex Luthor, and Michael. What's his name? Starts with an R. Yeah, him. Bradley Cooper and Batista were rumored to be looking at playing that Lex Luthor role in this film also, because they said they're going to be going for a very different Lex Luthor than what you've normally seen.
What it looks like they're looking at is more of the Skarsgård Nicholas Hoult type, which would kind of be the more darker but yet dangerously sexy version of Lex Luthor, I guess. So it could be a love triangle situation. Because that's kind of what the 90s show kind of emulated towards, was that version of Lex Luthor. I can't remember the actor's name, but they played him off as more of the philanthropist or whatever you want to call it, to where he was, dashing and debonair, and always was kind of a bit of a distraction for Lois between the whole Lois and Clark thing. But
yeah. I heard they were wanting a more physical Lex Luthor that looked more menacing and could really take on Superman.
I don't know how big the
physical
Skarsgård
role.
boys are, but I'll tell you what, Nicholas Hoult is a lot bigger than I thought he was, especially after seeing Renfield.
I still have not seen that. I need to watch that.
That's a good film.
It is. It's just pure fun, especially if you're a fan of the old Universal Dracula and you like Nicolas Cage.
I'm of a different opinion.
I know. Well, let's not digress too much.
All right.
Let's get us some more super chats here. So we got one from Mihon. It says hot take 3. I liked Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Kick him out, Nate. Kick him out of the stream.
It's not an indie movie, but an adventure movie. Tintin is the true Indie 5. 117 letters, so not running out this time. Next question. Anyone want? Run out. You're brilliant, man. That's great.
100.
Oh no, nobody's saying anything bad about anybody who did enjoy it. We're just saying on a level of like just the general audience was turned off by it. Basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you enjoy a film. I never take that away from people. Devlin Smith for $20 says also R.I.P. to Treat Williams, who tragically passed recently. Fun fact: the island at the end of Deep Rising is actually Skull Island, and originally sets up a '98 Kong film. Yes, Kong was the last monster in the end.
Wow,
really? No,
they never did a. Did they do? They didn't do a '98 Kong film, did they? Or they were setting up one, but
Peter was going to make one in '96. I don't know about '98.
Oh, that demands research. I'll have to get. No, you know what? Tom will get on that one.
Yeah, I don't know because I remember in '96 Peter Jackson was originally going to make King Kong, but after the Frighteners didn't do so well at the box office, Universal got cold feet, and then that's when he moved on and started working on Lord of the Rings. And then after Lord of the Rings was a hit, he came back and revamped his idea because, that's the only Kong properties. But then again, it's hard to say because Kong is one of those things that the rights are all over the place. Warner Brothers owns certain rights to it. Universal owns certain rights to it. And then in a couple of years, a few of those rights, I think, are going to be up to public domain. And I think Kong himself is in the public domain, technically.
He is. That's why.
It's a really kind of fudgy... But you can't actually use the story because the story is owned by Universal and Warner. It's a weird.
You could
they own the story, just not the character.
You could use a different story.
Yes, you could, and that's where Warner is getting away with. And there's even an argument there because here's how it works, and this is the shortest way I can explain this. They wrote the movie, made the movie. They wrote a book that came out before the movie so that they could have book rights. Sold the book rights to Universal. Warner owns the original movie. So it's a really convoluted thing where Universal technically owns the original Kong story. The character is public domain. Warner Brothers owns the original movie, though. So it's weird. And they've been in and out of court for years over this thing. And it also flared up with the whole Nintendo thing with Donkey Kong and everything like that, because that's where the Nintendo ended up winning in the end, mainly on a loophole technicality, because they found out, Universal actually doesn't own all these rights they say they do. Right. Yeah.
God damn.
I just.
What do you say, Culture?
Oh no, I was just going to say someone in the chat mentioned something I'd like to do as a story idea for Kong. I like the idea of Kong in space. We send up a regular sized gorilla.
Yeah, Kong X.
Yeah, you send up a regular sized gorilla, and he gets bombarded with a bunch of cosmic rays,
gamma rays.
You don't even have to do that. He just lands on a planet where everything's smaller than Earth, so he's just.
And there you go. I like that.
But I wanted to have a cool sci-fi thing.
Well, that's cool enough. They just cut past the special effects there. That just saved us $90 million.
Okay, you're right. Let's do that.
Accent seller for 50 Norwegian kroner says, I'm going to go to hell for this, but Netflix presents Titanic 2. Idris Elba is Ocean Gate CEO. Can he handle the pressure? find out.
Oh,
Sponsored by Xbox.
too soon. Too soon.
That
It wouldn't be
memes around that
Xbox,
have
it'd be
been
Mad Cat
hilarious.
controllers or
Yeah,
whatever.
Mad
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah.
Fucking,
Logitech.
the memes around
Or was it a
that is
Logitech?
just-
At
The
least it wasn't
off-brand.
Yeah,
so
Well,
funny.
I'm looking at it going, well, actually, technically, Logitech owns Mad Cats. So, but yeah. Anyway. But here's the weirdest thing about it all. That works perfectly. All of the memes are represented in one super chat. Well done.
I love it. That's so good. Mo Sislek for $25 says, just check the fine print on the Applebee's Indy 5 promo. Minimum
Oh
purchase
no.
for the tickets excludes alcohol. California only. Sorry, culture. No apple teenies for you.
You mean
Oh,
California
man.
only, meaning it's only eligible in California? That's lame.
Wow,
Apparently.
that
I mean, the
sucks.
alcohol maybe only excludes California, so you're
tickets
fine then.
exclude alcohol, California only.
That's what
Maybe
I'm
only
curious.
in
Is that what it is?
California?
Yes,
California.
because maybe there's an extra. California has like maybe an extra alcohol tax or something like that they won't cover it. Maybe
Minimum purchase for tickets excludes alcohol.
California only. That's what I'm saying. If it's outside of California, they don't care. Maybe.
Yeah.
All I know is if I can get liquored up for $35,
You need to
get a free film and still find it to be shit. I think that's a real problem.
Culture does a drunk review of Indiana Jones 5. I drank $35 worth of booze.
That was not good. I had a craft movie.
If culture doesn't do that, I am.
Pissed on the floor.
Comic Castro for $2 says, any thoughts on Henry Cavill auditioning for 007?
I think he'd be a great choice. I don't know
It's
if he'll
not
go that route,
happen.
but
It's not going to happen.
honestly,
Yeah.
I think that's where he's graduated to. It's almost like the perfect.
He's the perfect age
role
for
for
Bond.
him. Right.
Yeah.
Perfect age for Bond.
I would
what
totally
it
be on board.
is, what he's referring to is this. Green Lantern director Martin Campbell reflects on not casting Henry Cavill as Casino Royale.
I think it's
James
a big
Bond.
mistake. Yeah.
I think that's what he's referring to. So what it was, so Martin Campbell was going to direct 2006's James Bond Casino Royale. The movie was a hit, blah, blah, spawned, blah, 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 all this garbage, etc., etc., etc. Henry Cavill remains obviously the fan favorite. Obviously, he's very good, blah, blah, blah. Talking to The Express, Campbell revealed just how close Henry Cavill came to playing 007 nearly 2 decades ago. He looked great in the audition. His acting was tremendous. Yeah. And look, if Daniel didn't exist, Henry would have made an excellent Bond. He looked terrific. He was in great physical shape, very handsome, very chiseled. He just looked a little young at that time back then. I wasn't favoring Henry. And the way they work with Bond, and it's pretty terrific, is when they decide on the actor and you audition. In our case, it was 8 people. It's very democratic. It was myself and the producers, cast and director, and you go through the 8 people and you put your hand up as you talk through each person. And ultimately, everyone has to be unanimous in their decision. So I think that they sign on for 3 Bonds. I'm not absolutely 100% certain of that. So that's going to take 6 years of your life, maybe. The next guy is going to have to do that. Henry's 40. So by the time he's done the 3rd one, he's going to be 50. And anything beyond that's 2-3 years per Bond. He's in good shape, Henry. He's a good guy. He did very well in the audition, but ironically, he was too young. I think that's a big mistake. He would have made a great. I always say it. I go back to every time we talk about this. Henry Cavill's audition for Bond was The Man from U.N.C.L.E., as well as obviously his audition for Bond. But Man from U.N.C.L.E. was great. He was brilliant in Man from U.N.C.L.E.
I'd like to see a sequel.
I'd love a sequel. Yeah, but you got Army Hammer's issues. You can't bring him back.
Hey, you know what? Stop. Hammer time.
Well, look, but I think he'd be a good. Henry Cavill would be a great Bond. He'd be a brilliant Bond. Magitech Mags for $5 says, this is hilarious. I wanted to send the link to someone and noticed the change. Had to pass on the information, so I got you, fam. Yeah, that's the fact that they changed the photo is brilliant.
Oh, it's in real time.
As we're talking about it, that's gold.
It was cool.
That is absolute gold. So what we're going to talk about now is something that you might want to talk about, Nick. Kathleen Kennedy explains how Rey movie and Dawn of the Jedi will be connected. Do you know about this? I don't know about this yet.
I don't know about this yet.
Well, let's get into
You're
it,
our
buddy.
specialist, Nick. You better get into it.
Let's get into it. So, With one of these projects taking place so many years before A New Hope and the other set generations after, will they share any connective tissue? Apparently so. It was feminine all the way. I think what's always great about Star Wars is it's a big galaxy and you always shrink it. And we're coming off what was a major war with the First Order. And now Rey has made a promise to Luke. They keep bringing this up. I don't remember this. And Rey has now made a promise to Luke. And that's really the core of what we're going and what this story will be. And I think it offers just tremendous opportunity to introduce new characters and start with something fresh, because we culminated with what George Lucas was creating.
What?
Fuck off with
Really? Okay.
And now we take all of that and move it to the next chapter. Fuck off. Kennedy adds that there's been interest in the origin of the Force from the moment I stepped in and George brought me into the company. It was something that Jim Mangold immediately sparked to. And I think it's a really nice compliment to what we're doing with moving into the future with Rey, and then understanding a bit more of where this all came from, because it will be at the heart of creating the new Jedi Order. So to get a real sense of where that might have began with the Dawn of the Jedi could be pretty cool.
No, it wouldn't be pretty cool. It would be
No, but mate, they finished what George Lucas created.
Yeah, absolutely not. George has literally said he has literally said publicly, there's video of him saying, "These are not my movies. These are not my movies. This is not my story." Everybody knows it's all public knowledge. There's no conspiracy here or anything. You can go out and find all this information. It's very public. Yeah, what a bunch of crap. Nobody cares about Rey. Again, I've said this before. I'll be surprised if this Rey movie actually ever happens. They've made
I'm
so
surprised
many
if the James Mangold
announcements.
one does now.
Yeah,
Indy's going to bomb. So.
And just to touch on that, just real quick, not everything needs to be explained. You know, leave some mystery. Like in the very first Star Wars movie, Obi-Wan said, you know, the Force, it's an energy field created by all living things. You know, it surrounds us,
That's
binds
enough.
us. You know, that's enough. We don't need to see the origin story and how it was created and all that. It's sci-fi fantasy.
You don't want to hear about midichlorians?
No, and that's the thing that pisses people off about George Lucas's prequels is the freaking midichlorians and a bunch of the other crap he did in those prequels that a lot of people did not like and was not fans of. But yeah, it's I'll be surprised if the Rey movie happens. After this Indy movie comes out, I'll be surprised if James Mangold gets his Star Wars movie. They're not going to sign him up for something, you know, if Indy flops. So
No.
I'll be surprised if either one of these two movies happens. If Kathy needs to be gone, the whole structure that Lucasfilm needs to be gutted. And they need to either go far, far into the future where the Jedi Order's already established, you know, or go way, way, you know, in the past. But you got to get the right people involved for it to be
That's
worth
definitely
anybody
Kathleen
giving
Kennedy,
the
is
time.
it?
No, definitely not.
Jesus, I can't believe they literally said we're finishing it. We finished the culmination of what George Lucas started.
Yeah, horseshit.
Culture.
Just say it, culture. Star Wars is dead.
It's been dead for a long time. I'm like, I don't even know. I mean, I love Star Wars, George Lucas's Star Wars, but Nick's right. I mean, you know, George came out and said he sold his children to white slavers, and he wasn't kidding.
Jesus.
You know, and it's rough here. I mean, we live in a rough place. I mean, I was in the theater as a little boy, saw it live when it happened. Star Wars, it was great. It wasn't called A New Hope back then. It was just called Star Wars.
I think what's interesting is in that interview, she does actually call that movie The Dawn of the Jedi, whereas previously they debunked that title.
Oh yeah, that's a good catch. Yeah, very true.
I look. I'm in line with every brilliant observation said here, in particular by me. I'm going to second and say as indie flops, so goes anything that has been greenlit at Lucasfilm. Because Tom pointed out earlier in regards to the DC stuff, Disney has all these different studios, and it does help them absorb a lot of financial blows. But right now, every single one of their brands is taking body blow after body blow after body blow, and eventually you can't afford the redundancy. So Disney
There's nothing at Lucasfilm making them money. Nothing. I can't point to one thing.
Oh boy, do we have another story related to another Disney brand I know I want to get into, but now I'm just depressed. Now I gotta go find a very tall building. I'll be back. Well, maybe not.
Tom, you'll chime in as culture buggers off to a tall building.
On which part? The whole Star Wars thing?
The whole thing being connected to all of it. Just they're gonna try and connect the past movie with the new one because reasons. It's a wank.
Honestly, at this point, look, Kathleen Kennedy is in full control, and if she's not, then Dave Filoni is. So at the end of the day, this thing's fucked. It's fucked.
Yeah.
It's shit on a cracker. Favreau is all but done from what we've heard, and it's pretty obvious. Whatever influence he had has gone out the window, which it goes to show what you said. A lot of people like say, oh, there was no Civil War. Yeah, there was a Civil War, and we lost, kids. We fucking lost. That's why Favreau is pretty much pieced out. That's why this whole thing seems to be going pro, Filoni-verse type shit and Ray-verse
feminist verse.
Exactly. They're doubling down on it. Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger have their legacy to somehow try and fix in some way, and their way of seeing to fix it is just double down on the stupid, I guess. So,
and you got Filoni, who's basically just on board with everything. Speaking at women's conferences, he's not any better. I had some faith in Favreau after the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian, but just like Tom said, I think the writing's on the wall. I don't think he gives 2 shits about anything to do with Lucasfilm moving forward at all. He already wrote season 4 of Mandalorian, and I'll be surprised if he's around after that. Again, if you look at Star Wars Celebration, he was not mentioned at all in this upcoming culmination movie on a universe he helped to create. It's all Dave Filoni. So I guarantee you, he's like, look, I'm gonna do this 4th season. I'm gonna write it out. Here you go. I'll be there to help out where I can. But yeah, I'm done. And I think that's where things are out with Favreau.
Oh, dear.
And nobody else wants to work for Lucasfilm, and people have said publicly.
No, you're bang on. So let's move on to some of these super chats. Let's get ahead of these now. So we got £2 from John Apocalypse. Can you blame director for Flash? I really like it. Yes, you can. You absolutely can blame part of the director for the Flash. Tom Working for $2 says, does Long qualify as a kaiju like Paul Bunyan?
I don't know if you could qualify Kong or Paul
Kong's
Bunyan.
a kaiju. Kong is definitely a kaiju, 100%.
Would he be considered that?
Yeah, he's a kaiju. It's just like giant monster.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely classifies as a kaiju for sure.
What about trolls?
Okay. Yeah, the trolls would be kaiju. Yeah, they in film format they classify as kaiju, I'd say. Mihon for 20 Swedish kroner says, help. Dial of Depravity is released here tomorrow. Is it really? Wow, that's an early start.
They're like, let's just get it out of the way. Let's get it out of the way so we can get it out of the theater.
That's it, though. They are getting their Wednesday starting to try and boost that opening weekend. That's what it is.
Pretty soon they'll start moving it to Mondays.
Yeah, they will. We'll be like, Monday's the opening weekend.
Yeah.
Accent seller for 20 Norwegian credits says DC should cast Henry Cavill as Superman.
Hey,
I don't disagree.
I'd be on board.
I think you make a good Superman.
Yeah.
Devlin Smith for $10 says it's on IMDb. Stephen Sommers was going to be prepped to make a Kong film in '98 if Deep Rising was a success. Zilla
okay. I
versus
didn't know
Kong
this.
was going to be
I didn't
planned
either.
even back then, and everything bombed with Zilla and Rising. I did
Okay,
not
because I do know there was
this.
another version of Godzilla that was in the works prior to the
Mm.
'98 film.
Yeah.
And we've touched on that in a few videos, and I know there's some other videos out there that on YouTube and such that touch on that. But no, it's the first I heard about it. I'll have to look into this. Thanks for the info on that.
That is genuinely interesting. I will have to look into this as well, to be honest. Accent Seller.
Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
I was going to say, for 20 Norwegian credits, says KK, feel the force flow through you like a period. Fuck's sake. Well, that's what it's going to be.
It's
going to be something
flow.
like that. It is going to be something like that. You know, it is not period, but it's going to be sort of feminine oriented for sure. Teague for $2 says, did you see the Venture Bros Metalocalypse trailer? No. What's this? What's that? Is there something I should know that I don't know about? Anyone? No one?
No, I'm not.
I haven't seen the trailer.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
I will see the trailer, I guess. Didn't know it existed yet.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
Mihon says, Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark. What other movies has changed their titles after a trilogy or sequels to fit in? 119 letters left, so try again. I like your comments are brilliant.
Dude, so great.
Yeah, what other movies have changed their titles after a trilogy or sequels to fit in?
Wow. Well, both of those are Lucasfilm examples, so there you are. Okay, so Live, Die, Repeat became Edge of Tomorrow. That was the
yes
film. You had
Ford versus Ferrari or Le Mans. That was two different market
Those
names.
are usually like market titles, but this is not a thing as far as like officially like this. Star Wars and Raiders are like only some of the few that I can think of offhand because
I just did one.
What?
Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, other than that, but has it officially ever been changed to that, or is it just tangentially?
I have the thing. What do you call it? The Blu-ray. Yeah.
Well, because prior to that, like they used to do it all the time during B-movie days of the drive-in, so they could keep re-releasing the movies and recutting them without people realizing they're going to see the same movie again.
Yeah, I know. But okay, let me give you one more example. Very recent. Birds of Prey. It was the fantabulous disco ball of bologna
that's
sausage.
a good example. There you go.
Yeah, you're completely right.
Yeah. But I mean, does it happen? Sure. Rarely. Very rarely.
Well, what I was trying to say is the Star Wars and Raiders ones were more to just kind of make them uniformed.
Now,
right?
Now, the question is, does it fall? Because the question is very specific. There's none of the films I mentioned have sequels or trilogies. So just
that's what I was just saying. Yeah, like that's kind of a little different scenario here than what you're asking. And Mihan, no, not really, outside of just in box sets and stuff later on, where they'll have like Harry Potter and whatever.
Wasn't there a James Bond film that changed its title at some point along the way? Trying to remember.
I don't know.
Not that I know of. I mean, they've kind of adopted Never Say Never Again into the James Bond lexicon because through Vicarious,
an entirely different company.
It was, but through buyouts now, then MGM wound up with the rights to it. So they have put it. Yeah, I can't remember who, but through a rights buyout, MGM ended up with the rights to it. So they ended up putting it in with all the other Bond films and box sets and stuff, to my memory. It's still a little separate now, but it's like a gray area. But anyhow, no, I can't think of too many movies where this kind of thing has happened in the past.
Yeah, I mean, when in regards to sequels and franchises and things like that, like I think it's very limited to Lucasfilm specifically.
As far as officially doing it, yes.
Yeah.
So shuffle on to Jonas J. Campbell.
Hey, Jonas.
What's up, Jonas?
Says, got an ad for Star Wars soap before I watch your stream.
The Squatch soap.
They're trying to sell whatever they can sell.
Not sure if they're saying that I'm a smelly nerd or if all of us are smelly nerds.
Both.
I didn't even know they did Star Wars soap. It's bloody new.
Yeah,
to
that
me.
Squatch
Jesus.
company or whatever. the soap.
Okay, yeah. Magitech Mag says R.I.P. Star Wars. Now it's cultural necrophilia by Disney.
Ooh.
And another one, Nick Rants. Brilliant.
Oh, I love
I
Nick
do.
Rants.
I do.
Justin B. Actor Julian
Yeah.
Sands.
I heard
remains
that
found.
yesterday. Yeah.
Bummed me
Brutal.
out. Bummed me out.
Brutal. Mecha J for $5 says, Mr. H, have you seen Netflix's new King Kong series, Skull Island? I have not.
I didn't even know it was out yet.
I didn't know. It did not appeal to me from the trailer. It looked real bad. So
I haven't opened Netflix in a very, very long time. I'm not even sure I still have it. I may have canceled it back during the little girl exploitation thing that they.
I might look at. We'll see. I've heard good stuff, but the animation is not for me. Hemorrhoid Hurts says I had a 1200, 240, 260, and 280 ZX. These are the captains. That's you got some good taste there, buddy.
Nice collection.
You got some very good taste. Doesn't have them anymore.
Oh,
so shame on you for getting rid of them.
He's Australian. They go through cars a bit.
Well, they love their datos over there as well, as they call them.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a look at another topic now, which is, of course, The Little Mermaid, because they seem to be desperately wanting a sequel.
Is that thing still
happen.
in theaters?
Still in theaters.
Wow.
Still in theaters. Okay. I don't understand. Like, they're really trying to push for this sequel. The Little Mermaid nears 500 million worldwide. Is that enough to make a sequel?
No,
it's not.
Maybe not straight to Disney Plus. I mean, if that was their goal for all this shit, then bravo. I mean,
but why? Like, why do you want to make a sequel to this? Like, what are you?
How much money is this movie going to lose, Tom?
Well, Valiant Renegade has actually been getting a lot of buzz, and picked up by outside media, as we'd like to call it, or whatever you want to call it, about his estimation of Disney is facing losing $900 million at the box office this year.
That's just staggering, isn't it?
Yeah. Close to $1 billion.
Absolutely outrageous. I mean, this is the thing, production budget of $250 million, $140 million global marketing. I'd say probably a bit more than that, to be honest. An eventual global haul of anywhere in the low 400 range, all but guarantees a $200 million loss. How do you work that one out?
Well, they're so desperate to keep money on this. That's the only reason I think it hasn't hit streaming yet.
No, but it's more than a $20 million loss. That
hell of a lot more.
All they're doing here is doubling these numbers. Going, well, if it makes 400 million, it's broken even. No, dipshit.
No, they've made about half the money they have to make back on this movie. Guys. That's
you've still got theatre cuts. Why do people keep leaving out theatre cuts? I don't understand.
They don't understand. Well, that's the thing and this is why I just kind of make it easy and go by the rule of 3 to people.
Yes,
especially with these big tentpole films, you just basically got to go look whatever they're saying the budget is, and this is the other thing, you got to go by whatever they're saying the budget is, because we're learning almost, it seems like weekly now, that they're spending a lot more on these movies than they're telling us.
High.
So that means they have to earn even more. And that's where I've been saying for a while, the billion is the magic number. And a lot of people will push back on certain things, whether I bring up, how a movie like The Batman underperformed. Like, what do you mean underperformed? It's like, they were expecting it to make $1 billion. No, they weren't. Like, yes, they were. They expect these movies now. They have to. $1 billion is the new 100 million. I've been saying this for a while. And it used to be that a movie had to break 100 million usually to be considered a big success. Nowadays, if you don't break $1 billion, you're not even breaking even. That's not a success.
And so they're lying in this article so wildly.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah. Who is this? Who is this?
Well, so this is not just this. So this is comic book movie. .com, but it's not just them. So they're parroting what Deadline had been reporting about,
which was also profit. A fabrication.
Yeah. Well, basically, it's about to cross 500 million. So they're everyone's now going, it's turned a profit because it had a $250 million production and 140 million marketing. Where's the theatre cuts in all of that, idiots? Where's the theatre cuts in all of that? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, for goodness sake.
Yeah, I mean, and not only that, I mean, it's only pulling U.S. audience primarily. So, we're not inside in the room when we know what this deal was negotiated to. but I can tell you right now, this thing is still very much underwater. So I don't,
Floundering, you might say.
yeah, indeed. Yeah. I think it's not
Might be drowning.
well, it's not performing swimmingly. Let's just put it in those terms.
Hey.
Yes. We'll be here all week, folks.
Dropping all the awful jokes today. I mean, I just don't get it. Like, why do they want this to have a sequel so bad? Like, what is with it with this film? Like, why?
Oh no!
Of all the hills to die on, this is the one you die on. We must get a Little Mermaid sequel. Why?
Well, but they're lying. There's no way Disney's going to greenlight this thing. It buried them. They've not had a profitable movie this year. They've not had a profitable movie this year. Because I will go toe to toe with somebody to point out to me how Guardians of the Galaxy it actually has generated a profit. It could. You could maybe argue me into that position, but then they've had one film of all their brands. The entirety of this year, and they have no guaranteed money on the horizon. Elemental has got them underwater to the tune of a couple $100 million at least.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah,
but I just like, why do they want this to have a sequel? Why?
They want their virtue signal to be confirmed, and like, hey, our virtue signal is working, and this is what people want. Look at us. We're doing the diversion and inclusivity and including all these other people in these films, and it's just these hillbilly basement dwellers that are freaking trolling. This is what people really want, and they want that to be the narrative. Like, hey, this is what the audience wants. We're doing the good thing. Look at how good we are. We're giving people a chance, of different races and ethnicities and genders and whatever, but it's not working. When you look at the box office numbers.
Just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So we got some more super chats to get to. Accent Seller, 20 Norwegian kroner, says Star Wars soap is to wash away the period. Forces female. Nikki for $2 says Nick out here saying theater now too.
Theater.
Oh, theater.
Yes, because you're so posh in your pronunciation. You're rubbing off on Nick, is what she's saying.
That's brilliant. Mihan says The Little Mermaid 2 license revoked, ran out again.
I love that.
Dislikes puns says, "Oh, Little Mermaid. At this point, I feel bad for laughing, like laughing at someone who's slipping on a banana peel while touring the S21 Memorial." What's that? What's this?
I'm not sure what the S21 Memorial is.
I don't know what that is. And then Mihan again drops in and says, "The Little Mermaid has joined Titanic at the bottom."
Yeah, and somebody made a great joke in the chat. It literally is imploding.
Yeah, I did like that. So just a quick PSA actually for Thursday's stream, just as a quick notification for everyone involved, you guys as well. So the stream starts at 7 p.m. UK time on Thursday. So it's 2 hours before this stream starts on a Tuesday. Now that stream will absolutely unequivocally finish before 9 p.m. And there's a reason. Because I will be going over to the Critical Drinkers stream immediately after at 9 p.m. So for those that always want us to team up, you want me to appear on your stream, it is happening. There you go. So a quick PSA. Quick PSA for that. That'll be over there. So I know you guys want me to be on there. It's just a case of organization and getting it organized and done. So we'll be over there on that one.
Jump from this stream right to that stream.
Exactly. So I will obviously leave a link in the chat over on Thursday as well, so you guys can head on over and continue watching me over there. We got another super chat just dropped in from Dislikes Pun, says the memorial to the killing fields in Cambodia.
Oh
fucking hell. Yeah, that's
a holiday in Cambodia, indeed.
That's funny. And then we got Olaf Van S, member for 8 months. Support level 1. Remember me making my little submarine pun at Mermaid. I rest my case. Anyways, want to thank everyone for the great super chats. See you all Thursday. Well, thank you so much, Olaf, for being a fantastic mod here on the stream. That does actually wrap it up. So, Culture, what have you got coming up, buddy? What you got going on?
Well, it's Tuesday, so there's a decent chance I'll be hanging out with Tom over on Midnight's Edge After Dark, pending any work that is definitely waiting
do a
for
thing.
Box. Yeah, he does do a thing. I do the 6 minute daily on the weekdays, where I do 6 minutes worth of news in 12 and a half minutes, and sometimes 1.5 hours. Which tomorrow is only going to be 6.5 minutes. But then I've got a couple of videos out today. I really wish people would watch the one on how you put the sucks in Sussex. That's right. It's a Meghan Markle exclusive video. I have some fun with that. And that's it. I mean, I got videos out my ears now. I'm starting to make some real traction. I have to thank Nate and all of you wonderful humans out there for making it happen. So there you are.
Good. Tom, what you got coming up, buddy?
As Culture said, Midnight's Edge After Dark here in about an hour or so, give or take. And we'll see where else I pop in from here and there to everywhere. Otherwise, we got the morning show tomorrow morning as well. We got to have you back on again sometime soon, Mr. H. It's been a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, just let me know when and what the topics are.
Sure,
if I
sure.
have anything interesting to drop in, I absolutely will. And then Nick, what have you got coming up, buddy?
Nothing. I'm literally still out of town. I was planning on being back home yesterday. That didn't happen. So I'm actually still out of town. Coach is out of town. So I don't know what's going to happen with our Thursday night chill stream this week.
No.
There might not be one because I don't have access to our StreamYard from the computer I have down here. Yeah, so I might have, I don't know, I'll have to work something out. But regardless of what happens this week, next week we'll more than likely be back on track.
Excellent. Cool. Well, from me and everyone else, thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you Thursday, 7 p.m. UK time, and then we'll be finishing at 9 p.m. on the dot, because I'll be streaming with Critical Drinker. But thank you all so much. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed watching. Subscribe to everyone's channels and subscribe to the second channel, Mistakes Reviews Live Archives. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye, guys.